The humans will be forced to judge themselves by themselves, and they will have to atone for their sins against nature and Earth. Hey kiddos, thanks so much for joining me for episode 21 of Chronicles in Collecting, where we're going to take a look at the MSN-04 Nightingale heavy paint specification version from Mobile Suit Gundam Beltorchika's Children. This is sort of a companion piece to episode 12, where we looked at the new Gundam and new Gundam option parts, as well as did a bit of a primer on Char's Counterattack, as Mobile Suit Gundam Beltorchika's Children is basically an slightly alternate retelling of Char's Counterattack. It is a 1988 movie by Yoshiyuki Tomino, who hopefully, as you know, was the director of the original Mobile Suit Gundam, as well as Zeta Gundam, Double Z Gundam, Char's Counterattack, and wrote and directed a number of other, kind of Gundam media, and is, the father of Mobile Suit Gundam. Basically, when he was given the go-ahead to go with the movie, he used one of his novels as source material, but wrote like a slightly different script. I guess, the committee or TV executives or whatever did not approve that version, and they wanted to stick closer to, I guess, his original story. So he took that other script that was slightly different and turned it into Beltorchika's Children. I've not read either of the novels. I'm not quite sure if they're available in English. Maybe someone's, translated them. But I did a little bit of reading, and my understanding is that the plots are fairly similar. There are some plot differences, which I don't really want to get into the details because they could be spoilery. This is going to be a spoiler-free review. But I think kind of the main important difference, at least for the purposes of this video, is that a number of characters pilot different mobile suits. Kind of particularly Amuro, instead of piloting the new Gundam, pilots the High New Gundam. I believe they're both called the new Gundam in the novel, but the illustrations refer to it as the High New Gundam. And Char pilots the Nightingale instead of the Sazabi, which sort of leads us to this thing. This thing is pretty humongous. Kind of get a better idea of sort of how big it is. I've been looking forward to opening this up for a little bit now. So just to give a few stats, this figure came out in February of 2019. It retailed for 22,000 yen, so a little bit less than 220 bucks. I picked it up for 35,780 yen, so about 130-ish more than retail, and you can still kind of get it, for that price. Obviously, it's a big guy, so shipping is also going to kind of be expensive, especially if you're buying it from Japan. For anyone who hasn't watched the new Gundam video and the Char's Counterattack video, Char's Counterattack and Beltorchika's Children is basically kind of showing the final battle between Amuro and Char, and is sort of the culmination of everything that's been happening in Mobile Suit Gundam, Zeta, little bit Double Zeta Gundam, and sort of the whole Gundam universe. As a result of that, both Amuro and Char kind of get these big bad mobile suits to kind of have their final battle in, and that's where this Nightingale comes into play. So that being said, let's dive into it and see what's going on here. If also, don't want to rehash too much from the Char's Counterattack video, but the Nightingale heavily features funnels, which is, I kind of went into a big long explanation of what those were in the episode 12 video, so please check it out if you want to learn more about them. But kind of in a nutshell, funnels are kind of like these remote controlled drone things that new types can use because of their sort of heightened spatial awareness, and kind of other abilities that they have. And this figure is packed to the brim with them. A lot of tape on this guy to get it open. What's also actually interesting about this figure is that there's another figure that has funnel effect parts that are used with this figure, and the only way to get it is to buy the other figure. So when I do get that, I will probably slightly revisit this, at least for posing, just to check out what else is available. So I think the first thing that obviously really yells out to me when I'm opening up this video is just how big this figure is. I think this is probably the biggest figure I've opened to date. Maybe the Gao Gaigar with all the option part set's a little bigger. It comes with its own base, comes with a ton of weapons, and the figure itself. Alright, so let's see what we got here. As you can imagine, there's a lot of tape and packaging and stuff kind of holding everything in line. This is, I believe, the first figure of the heavy paint specification. I'm not quite sure what that means other than, you know, it's expensive. I think there's only one or two other figures in the line. They're both kind of these, you know, huge suits, and actually both have a lot of funnels too. So kind of see if, you know, the premium is worth it. As I think, you know, from the price, I think this might be the most expensive figure that I've done, at least MSRP wise, and I think it might actually be the most expensive figure in the Robot Spirits line up until the second figure that came out in the heavy paint specification line that went for I think like maybe $350. Let's take a look. All right. So obviously I'll put it in front of the camera once I kind of get it all out here, but at least on first glance, I mean, it's a really nice looking figure. The paint job on it is perfect. It's kind of like the full marking editions where it's kind of just got all these little markings here and there. Just, you know, a lot of little writing. It's got, you know, Xeon logos and model numbers and call signs and all that kind of stuff. Let's see, I'm trying to figure out exactly. Let me set up the base first. I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to actually lift this figure and set it up here. It looks like let's see, make sure there's no tape on here. No, there's not. But yeah, just humongous figure, lots of packaging. Oh, I really don't want these funnels to go flying. And all the funnels went flying. Oh, we tried. As you can see, even this base is ridiculous. It's actually in two pieces. I'm not really sure where this is going to go, but I'll figure it out. Maybe go. I don't think this is actually going to even really fit on any of my shelves. Maybe it'll fit on top of one of them. It's just going to take a quick look at the instructions, just so I can figure out how to actually put the stand together. And then hopefully I can get the figure out and get the figure out on this stand. Oh, okay, I see. That's why I was having some trouble. The weapons in this are also ridiculous. In addition to all the funnels, this thing has 4 different beam sabers. It has its 2 hands, and I believe it has these like 2 other, I don't know what you call them, arms, claws, whatever. They can hold beam, whatever they are, they can hold beam sabers. And you can have 4 of them. It's got a bunch of like huge rifles, and if you've seen the Sinanju video, it sort of has like a ridiculous, even bigger version of the kind of shield that the Sinanju featured. Alright, so let's get the stand together, which should just take a second, and then we'll get the figure out, and we will take it from there. Okay, so this goes like, just double check. Actually, you know what? Let's just take a quick look at the figure, and then I'll pause and I'll figure out how to do all this other jazz. I think this should at least be able to rest on the floor as is. Okay, just needed a leap of faith to take this thing out. Well, it's still got a whole bunch of stuff to take off. I think actually might even have a little bit of, can't quite tell if that's metal or plastic on the back here, but that's, so anyway, got a nice view of the back of it. It's a pretty substantial figure here, lots of stuff, just kind of give it a quick once over. I'll put it on the rotating stand once I get it on its individual base. But yeah, I mean, this is, this is the big bad. This is a very menacing, it's a menacing suit, it's a menacing figure. The colors on it are great. The little detailing is great. The paint job is great. It doesn't feel as nice in my hand as one of, say, the version Ka ones that I looked at, like the Double Zeta Gundam or the Zeta Gundam. But as far as the robot spirits go, this is definitely one of the nicer looking figures. I would say it's probably not as nice looking as the version Kas that we looked at, but certainly nicer than any of the other kind of regular robot spirits. And I can't, like I said, I can't quite tell if these pieces are metal or not. I don't think they are. They're not that heavy. The figure itself is actually not that heavy. So that I think it's mostly just plastic. Let's go through the weapons real quickly. So you have like a bazillion little funnels here, and these all click into place. Let's see here. Make sure to get a good view of that. So all the funnels kind of click into place, and you could sort of move. Oh, I thought you could move them around. You can't. And like I said, if you have that other additional piece, then you can, it's kind of like an effect where it shows the funnel sort of flying around him and kind of firing, that clicks in somewhere and fires. So you got all those funnels over there. Then you got this humongous shield, which I believe you could either add a beam saber to. Actually, I think probably just a beam saber. I don't see any guns that attach to that. It does have this like ridiculously huge rifle, which I believe also has a tripod, and there's some nice detailing on the gun as well. Actually no, it doesn't actually say anything. It says caution on one side. But yeah, so really nice detailing on the gun. I'm assuming that this somehow attaches to this. I'll figure it out when I show the video, but you got this like super long beam saber, which I'm assuming somehow connects to that. You get these other beam sabers, 4 of these. Like I said, he can hold all 4 at the same time. Not 100% sure where his other limbs are, but I'll take a look at that in a second. And you also have some more of these beam axes. I'm assuming, yeah, and then it comes with kind of 2 of these effect parts that you could put on this thing's got a ton of weapons, ton of funnels, absolutely huge figure, lots of great detailing. Oh, you also have, so I think probably I'll show again in case you didn't see from the first view, but you got those 2 big boosters on the bottom, kind of like that. They're sort of underneath that like huge tail. And then it also comes with, I believe, 3 additional of these boosters that go on his back. And these just also say warning. A lot of warnings on this one, a lot of caution, a lot of warnings. I don't think this guy's super worried about all that kind of stuff. Anyway, I'm gonna hit pause for a minute, put this guy together, put the stand together. I don't know how posable this is gonna be, so it might not take too long, and I'll be back, kind of show all the different things that the figure can do, and give some closing thoughts. And we are back. As you can see, this thing is humongous still. It is ridiculous. I'm gonna give it, it's certainly not gonna fit on the rotating stand, so I will just sort of spin it around myself while giving some thoughts. So you can see I kind of have these support arms on the side. They're not actually doing anything. The booklet said I was supposed to put them in, but it's unclear to me. There actually are some metal joints on the figure just to kind of support these, like at least over here to support these huge wings. As far as like posability and just sort of getting everything in, getting it on the stand was a little annoying. One of the parts like was just sort of annoying to click. I wound up sort of doing it in reverse and plugging in the stand and then putting the stand sort of onto the base, and after that it kind of seemed like it was fine. There's actually 2 different positions that the stand supports depending on which pieces you use. One is sort of him standing like this, and then one is sort of him going forward a little bit more. So obviously you could do whichever one you want. Just about finished the 180 or sorry, the 360 of this guy, and then just sort of give an idea of just the different weapons that they have. So first of all, like I kind of mentioned, you have this humongous shield. It comes with 2 axes, and the axes actually kind of like clip into the shield, so you could have either of the 2 axe effects. Grab the other one. Actually, seems like my figure is slightly, not damaged, but slightly kind of mismade. The axe, I don't think you're gonna be able to quite see it. The axe has these like little grooves, and the grooves are what are used to kind of like clip into the effects. But for some reason, this axe doesn't have the grooves in it. The axe that's plugged into that does. So I'm not, that's a little bit of a disappointment, but not really the end of the world. I kind of just put the gun in his hand anyway, which I kind of wanted to use. Obviously, you'd probably have to have him lowered to the ground to actually have the tripod set up, but this is cool. He's kind of like rushing over there to do it. You can see he's kind of got these like support arms on the front here. And these were actually, I didn't attach these. These were part of the figure. They basically fold up and hide underneath sort of like the little skirt there. And then they come out and they basically just hold the beam sabers. And this guy does have one last trick up his sleeve, and I mean that quite literally. You kind of spin this around, you could see that he actually can store the beam sabers under each one of his, it's not actually a sleeve because it's like a oval suit, but you get the point. And that's, so you could actually have him hold some equipment while still having the 4. I thought having this shield and another beam saber that was smaller than the beam saber that he's already holding is probably a little overkill, although really the name of the game for this guy is overkill. So yeah, it's cool that you could have the axes in his hands and then still have the other thing up. I think another cool pose would be setting up the tripod setting up the tripod for the gun, because he does have these kind of support arms to sort of be defensive while he's kind of taking the sniper position, which is kind of cool. Obviously got the funnels here. I don't think the funnels, unfortunately I thought they were kind of like on a ball joint and they would sort of roll around so you could aim them. It seems like that's not the case, which is a little bit of a disappointment, but again, not like, super the end of the world. So I guess all in all, my final thoughts on this figure, the build quality of it is beautiful, the painting is exquisite, the detailing is super nice. Posing it was a little tricky, the joints are just kind of weird, and I think probably if I could read Japanese, the book would obviously make a lot more sense. But the posability is, pretty nice. I mean, obviously this guy's not going to be making like absolutely crazy dynamic poses, right? It's like this giant thing, it could only move so much, but I think that being said, there's a lot of nice little details here. I think specifically, the arms that are sort of tucked away is really cool. I mean, these support arms, I think being able to kind of keep the beam sabers up his sleeve is also pretty cool. I love all these kind of boosters on the back here. We saw those in a few other figures, and I always like them. And obviously this shield is amazing. It's got the markings to sort of match the figure. It's got the Xeon crest and all that kind of stuff, and this base is also beautiful. It's got, again, it's kind of got the symbol, and it has the gold trim all around. So I think at the end of the day, the question is this figure worth, possibly $350? I mean, $350 is a lot of money to spend on a figure. This figure is nice. I don't know if it's quite $350 nice. I don't know if it's $220 nice. I mean, if you like the Nightingale, I feel like that's always my answer. Well, if you like the suit, it is worth it. I mean, it's a good figure if you really like this, but it's huge. It's probably not quite as premium as you would expect for a $250 figure. It's mostly just the painting is nice, the detailing is nice, but it is just one shade of red. I love Char. I'm probably going to get all of his suits, so this definitely needs to be on my shelf. But, I wouldn't feel horrible if you had to skip it if you're not a super big fan, of this suit. So yeah, and put him next to the new Gundam, even though this is not actually who he fought, I know. But just to kind of show the scale. Anyway, thanks so much for checking out this video. I put new videos up every Wednesday, and please join me for the next episode of Chronicles in Collecting, where we are going to take a look at the Power Rangers Legacy Falconzord, and the Power Rangers Legacy Ninja Megazord. Can't quite get that in there. You have to take my word on it. Anyway, thanks so much, and keep collecting.